tell you a bedtime story. But promise me you won't fall asleep. Long ago, in a faraway kingdom, lived a ruler who wanted to build a strong bridge over the violent river that was surrounding his village. He gathered the most experienced, pronounced, talented engineers that he could find to come up with a plan. And amongst them was a young apprentice who was full of new ideas. Unfortunately, no matter how hard they tried, every single prototype that the engineers came up with came crashing down because of the stormy waters. Our observer took notes. He noticed the little details, the cracks in their plan, but he never mentioned anything. Failure after failure, they kept on repeating the same small mistake that was ruining their work. And he stayed silent. He told himself, I don't think I can do it. They would laugh at me, they would shame me, they could even destroy my future. And he kept the secret locked away. At the end, the poorly built bridge was destroyed by the river, and the village was isolated from the world. Imagine all the culture exchange, the trade, the wealth that could come with this bridge. But it never happened, because the apprentice was too scared to speak up. I hope this little story helped you realize that one voice can make a difference, only if it's heard. But why am I telling you all of this? Well, because while preparing for this speech, I came across a shocking survey. It was done amongst teenagers about their biggest fears in life. I'm pretty sure you can guess the most obvious ones. Fear of heights, of the dark, of widths even, of spiders. But one thing stood out to me. A statistic that said 45% of teenagers fear public speaking more than death. I was stunned at what could be so scary about public speaking that led so many young people to this conclusion, even compare it to death. And then I looked at the factors. Peer pressure, low confidence, low self-esteem, self-doubt, all of these reasons were present. But that fear, that self-doubt, does nothing more than hold young people back. Imagine that the 45% was 100. What if all young people were too scared to speak up about anything? How would the world look like? How would human civilization look like in 5 and 10 years? No progress, no innovation, no fresh ideas, simply stagnation. I often hear that the future is in the hands of young people. But if the future is in our hands, why are we silent? The world needs to hear the voices of young people, because many teenagers often internalize their thoughts, fearing judgment from other people. But something that I think young people should realize is that public speaking is not strictly going up on a huge stage, giving a lengthy speech in front of a judgy audience. Public speaking is also sharing your thoughts with 5 friends. It's talking about a relevant issue with a small group of people. Public speaking is about what you have to say. It's not what other people might think. Imagine all the philosophical thinkers, the innovators, the wonderful writers that are hiding behind a wall of fear and are holding themselves back. When I think of overcoming fear, I'm often taken back to the carefree childhood years. Not that I'm very old, but back then my biggest challenge was to ride a bike without training wheels. I tried and failed so many times that I was able to convince myself I couldn't do it. But the one thing that kept driving me to try again was to prove to the other kids on the playground that I could do it. One day I gathered them all up. I prepared myself dramatically for 5 minutes, and then I pushed the pedals. I wobbled a little, but eventually I was riding my bike freely. And then I made a crucial mistake. I looked back to see what the other kids' reactions were. My childhood pride blinded me to the point where I lost balance and came falling down with a shameful thud. I was too focused on other people's opinions to enjoy my personal triumph. Because facing your anxieties is not only about doing what's difficult, it's about doing it for yourself, not to prove anything to anyone. I'm sure all of you can think of such inspirational memories yourself. But speaking up about any issue is the first step towards resolving it. Let's face it, kids are pretty brave for facing their tiny little fears every day. And I encourage you to try and escape your comfort zone on a daily basis, to get used to the challenge. Because your ideas hold too much value to stay hidden in a bubble. Of course, overcoming your fear is not easy. It's definitely worth it though. I remember being very uncomfortable myself with public speaking 2 years ago. I was hesitant, unsure of my abilities, something that I think can be relevant to other people as well. I often found it difficult to jump in during conversation or discussion because I thought my ideas were not valuable enough to break the flow of the discussion. But I realized that I had things to say. I had ideas to share, and thanks to my ideas, the conversation could have deepened, viewpoints could have changed, people could have formed different conclusions. But my hesitation prevented all of this from happening. That's when I decided it was time for change. I joined the public speaking club here at ACS, and through proper guiding, but also through changing my attitude towards public speaking and viewing it as an opportunity rather than a curse, I was able to overcome this fear. But it showed me what an issue the avoidance of public speaking means for our generation. There are so many problems in this world. Discrimination, pollution, misinformation, economic inequality. Staying silent means accepting these problems, but most importantly, accepting that you can't do anything about them. Fear is human, but it should not be a reason to return to your hiding place. Studies show that 31% of young people suffer from social anxiety, which additionally contributes to the avoidance of public speaking. But if not us, who is going to advocate for human rights? Who is going to advocate for preservation of endangered species, for equality, for freedom of speech? Standing up, as I said, is the first step towards resolving any matter. Don't be like the apprentice, who chose his personal comfort over the benefits that he could bring to his own community. Next time you question if it's worth speaking up during a discussion, remind yourself of the strong bridge you could build with your own ideas. A bridge so strong it withstands any storm, any opinion, any doubt. Let's fight together against the fear and anxiety that scare young people from fighting for their passions and goals. Let's be the generation that changed the world. Thank you.